Hello everyone, welcome back and welcome to any new viewers. It's Dee. I hope everyone is doing well. I have another really cool project. It's a flip through I wanted to share with you. It is something I've been wanting to do for quite a long time, and I wanted to go through it with you. So this is a nature book, and it's everything that I have created with like little ephemera and pictures. I'm always outside. I love nature. Just random things I've had forever. There's pictures in here from the 1980s. So it's like a collaboration of all kinds of stuff. And I just thought it came out really, really wild. It came out better than I expected. And I've been wanting to do it for quite a long time. So I used 4 different companies with digital images and stamps in here, and I will list them below. I am not affiliated with them whatsoever. They are simply people I purchase from, and I like to share who I use. I get a lot of questions of what was this glue you used or stamp, or where did you purchase that? And everybody works very hard on their products, and I think that it's great to be inspired by different artists and companies. So I will link everything down below. This book, you know how we talk about inspiration all the time, and I did my mother's cookbook with my grandmother, and it was her old cookbook that I altered. Well, this is her old plant and garden book, and I kind of like inspired myself. So I was like, oh, that would be perfect. That would be great. That would be really great that I could, finally get my nature book done. So here is the front cover. And right here, this is one of the images I used from my Porch Prints, which I purchased from Etsy. The link will be down below. I used some vintage buttons. Here's some more. This little tuck here is part of the collection here from my Porch Prints. Corrugated cardboard I used, old paper I distressed, sticks from the yard, twine, burlap. I used some punches, old mother of pearl buttons here that I've had forever. And then I did some tea-dyed lace, some twine, and just used whatever I had and literally went out in the backyard and picked up sticks. I mean, I just personally, it's very rustic, it's very organic to me. I love that, and I'm very happy with it. So that's the front cover. Here is the spine, and then the back cover looks like this. And the back cover, well, everyone knows, like, I'm a scrapbooker, like, that's my heart of hearts. So I have an arsenal of all kinds of different things. And way back in the day when Tim Holtz first came out, he used to have grunge board. That's what this is. And this was the pre-cut one where it's already embossed, and then you paint it or ink it or whatever you want to do with it. And I just painted it and went over it with some distress ink, used a little stick, made a butterfly. That's like a flourish, and then just used my little doodahs. So that's the back cover. Now inside is I've got a bunch of stuff. So again, my mother's book, I altered it. Respect Nature. I used some old stickers here. I just used some leftover stuff I had, because you know me, use what you have, right? You'd be really surprised at what you could create with whatever you have laying around. And you want to go out and spend a little bit here and there. Hey, I mean, that's up to you. Like, I went and I spent on some of those digital images, but I love how it just all comes together. But that's me personally. So yeah. And this is here it is, the garden book. It's the garden plant book. This is an original paper from like the page from the book itself. This is a picture here, if you can see it. My aunt is a phenomenal artist, and she painted this, so I took a picture of it and I put it in my book because it was very, rustic in nature. These little post-it notes, just ignore them. They've got some personal information, and so I had to cover some stuff up. This guy right here, it says Henry right up top here. He was a pheasant. We live in a country, so we get all kinds of little visitors. And this pheasant was in the woods. We have a big woods in the back. We have a trail. There's a creek back there. And this pheasant comes out when my husband's cutting the lawn, and it just went berserk, and it would chase him all over. And he stayed around for probably about 2 weeks. So every time my husband would cut the lawn. You would never see him. He would like hang out in the woods. He'd hide in the woods. And as soon as my husband came out with the lawnmower, it was his berserk mode. And he would chase him and chase him and chase him. And it was nonstop. So I dubbed him Henry, took a picture. Of course, he got a photo shoot. I did some scrapbook layouts of him. And then one day he was like, all right, I'm done. And he left. So I have no idea what happened to him. But he had a good time in the backyard, I could tell you that. And then that was a little squirrel eating the bird seed that he wasn't supposed to be able to get to that he did. Some deer. We get a lot of deer around here. These were our bushes that we planted when we first moved in 2008. So they were real tiny, like right here. This is original paper from the book. It was just very vintage, very funky. Loved it, so I kept it there. That has no bearing on my personal life, but just the fact that I just like how it all flowed together. This dude, he decided to show up on the back porch. He was like that big. He was like the biggest one I've ever seen. He was a lizard. So I took a picture of him. This snapping turtle, I named him Rex. He got an entire photo shoot because he was almost prehistoric looking. And so I stuck him in there. And this was a cute little turtle that showed up on our back patio. I named him Sunny because of the yellow, and he was so sweet. He just hung out. These are some hornet nests my dad found in his like electrical outlets outside. So he ripped them out, and I was standing there, so I took a picture. This was a big hornet's nest in the 80s. We came home from vacation, and my father found that in the bushes. So there were just like two random pictures from the 1980s. So I put them in here because I didn't really think I was going to do much with them. So yeah, that's why I say just like random things, but it all has to do with nature. This was a sweet little deer in our field. And then right here, which I'm sure you can't really see it on camera, but right here is a groundhog, and he is a nosy little thing. He comes up on the porch, he looks in the window. Here he is over here. That's a more of a close-up picture of him, but he's fast. He runs like I didn't think groundhogs could run that fast. So I named him Fast Freddy. That's his name. And so of course, had to put him in the book. Here's some daisies. I like to walk every day, and I'm always taking pictures of things, and this was on the side of the road, so did that. This is my Porch Prints, which kind of inspired me to take the pictures because I just loved the collection that I purchased from her. Let's see, and more daisies here. That's my Porch Prints there and there. I think that's Tim Holtz. So yeah, just random things, collaging them, journaling about them, junk journal, scrapbook, everything all in one. I'd rather be mowing. That's my dad mowing the field. We had this really old tractor until they upgraded to their new ones, but I thought that was a cool picture because he was mowing. So this chapter's kind of like about lawns. There's my dad in the 1980s. This was him in 2010 probably. This is a lawnmower that my husband purchased. This is when I talk about the upgrade. And I found this really cute. This one, it might be Allegradigital. I'm not sure. And again, everything's going to be posted below. But it says a honey of a lawnmower. And that's my husband. So I just put over here a happy honey on his new lawnmower. And stuck that in there because that was a big deal for him. These were pictures back in the day in 1987. Were just random pictures we had. I had no idea what to do with, so I put them in there. These are some rainbows I had taken, 1988, 2011. This page isn't done yet, but it was just something I started. And I'm just using the original paper from the book. Ground covers. I love succulents. This is my succulent planner that I have outside, and then this I just cut out of magazines. That was a big mushroom, so I just put that there for under the chapter ground covers. This plant, that was the tag that came off of it, so I put that in there. Another wacky looking mushroom. This was like one of the weirdest mushrooms I've ever seen. Cut these out of a magazine and put them in there and did some wording from a magazine. Plants in pots, hardiest succulents. This is a Tim Holtz rub-on. Some more pictures of really wild mushrooms that were growing on our lawn and just loved it. Of course, they got a photo shoot. And found this in a magazine, Turn Your Yard into a Fairyland, which I thought was really cute because, you know, you always see like mushrooms with fairies, and I thought that was cute to put in there. Tucked away in the mossy woods, waiting to be discovered. This is by Red Lead Paperworks, one of my favorite companies. Love, love, love them. I have a bunch of stamps by them, so they are great, and I use them in a lot of my projects. Magic mushrooms, I just used my alphabet rubber stamps and stamped out and then cut them out and made it look like letters. This mushroom was on my dad's lawn. It was crazy. It was all clumped together like that. It looks like potato chips. Queen Anne's lace, which was on the side of the road. I took pictures of that. Some more things that I cut out of the magazine. That's my plants. And just kind of, you know, put that in the chapter, and used scrap paper that I had, old paper I wasn't using, ripped it up, and I just love how it came out. I just love this book. More succulents from a magazine I cut out, and then these were pictures. Now we're going into trees. These were pictures from the woods that I just kind of mosaicked and cut up. A Walk in the Woods, that's by Red Lead. This is our backyard where you can like go into the forest. We have like a little trail. So I stuck a little bird's nest here with some feathers, and this is going to be more oriented towards trees and birds. I love birds. I love bird's nests. Hence my Etsy store, Golden Nest Studio. It's kind of where I brought that in from because, again, I love bird's nests. So this was a mama bird in our bush, and then once the babies flew out and they were done, the nest got kicked out, found it on the ground, so I took a picture of it. So that's that nest without the eggs, and the little babies flew away. 2006, that's my dad and my husband. There was a tree that fell, and they were cutting it up, and I put here, "You can succeed, grow family memories." It was one random picture I had no idea what to do with it. And I said, that's going to go in my nature book. And so again, random things I've been putting in there, but it all came together. These were Eastern kingbirds. This is the mama and the daddy. And they made a nest on our front porch. Cut her out from a magazine. Thought she was really cute. Used my alphabet stamps there. And then just adhered it to the actual paper from the book. And some scrapbook paper behind it. And it brought all that green out. And I just thought, that came out really cute. And my husband, he loves bluebirds, and he helps the bluebirds like populate. So he does nestings, and this was for 2021. This was the most we ever got, which were 5. And I think we had 3 or 4 nestings this year, and I think last year in 2020 we had like 3 nestings, and this was a second nesting. So I had this really cute random, again, one odd, it was called household expenses little card. And so I put in here, it says costs, annual, renewal, seasonal guests, articles, purchase, straw, grass, twigs to make the nest, and kind of just put that all together. And there's the little house, there's the nest in it. That's where all the nestings happen. Together we can move mountains, the ties that bind, and a little bluebird stamp there. That's by AVArtDecor. Again, everything will be listed down below. I thought that was really appropriate. More birds. This was a mama bird. We have no idea what kind of birds, little eggs these were, what kind of bird it was. Something I had from a magazine, some old stickers, some die cuts. This is a Red Lead, and she flew home to her nest stamp. Another nesting we did, Let Me Love You a Little More Before You're Not Little Anymore. And I love how this all came out. I made this tag, I stamped it, and I stamped it with a bird. This was so appropriate because this birdhouse looks like that birdhouse. So I kind of put that together, brought in all my colors. I used some Tim Holtz distressed ink in the back and put it right on the actual paper that came from the book. These are little birds here, different kinds that I took pictures of. Red lead over here. Another mama bird. We have no idea what kind of bird she was. She was in our crepe myrtle tree. And this is a chipboard. So I painted it and then I polka dotted it. I used some mulberry paper, another AVArtDecor stamp here. It's a digital image that I cut out, put that in there. Just used some scrap paper here, old paper here that I had, and it just all, I love it. It just all the colors came together. That's the same bird, the mama bird, we don't know. That was in June of 2020. I had this random flower, no idea what to do with it. Stuck it on there. These were mockingbirds. They were baby mockingbirds this year, 2021. Into the Woods, that's a red lead. And every time I'd go, they would pop up and they would open their mouths because they wanted to eat, and that's them in there. That's their little heads with their beaks open. That's our magnolia tree. When we first planted it, it was a baby. Getting into roses. My girlfriend has a rose garden, so she always brings me roses when we crop. She's the sweetest thing. And that's why I put here friendship, the state of being friends. And those were roses she gave me. And then she has a rose garden party every year. And this was in 2014. So I put that in here. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful roses. Roses like you've never seen. And I thought that would be appropriate. I stamped the pages 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This was a piece of paper. I fussy cut all around it, stuck it in a corner with the bird. Bring forth all the blossoms. That's a red lead. Use some washi tape. This is her lemon tree. And whenever I see her and it's blossoming, she'll give me lemons. I have never tasted lemons as fresh as I ever have from her tree. They're just delicious. And so I just took some graph paper and I stamped some lemons on it. And then I took rub-ons and I rubbed on lemon tree. They're little alphabet letters and you rub them on. And used a piece of scrap paper there. And that's how that page came out. I thought that came out cute. More flowers she gave me. A little thank you for helping her. And I stuck that in there because I thought that would be perfect. More flowers from her. Cut this out from a magazine. Reminds me of her actually. And so I thought, that would be appropriate with some of the roses she gave me. This here, a bunch of these are from Allegradigital. And it was a whole kit that I purchased digitally. And it's just beautiful. Again, it'll be linked below, but that's part of it, I believe. There's so much in here. I hope I don't mix some of it up, but it's just so much. And just a little flower we had gotten at a crop, and I grew it. And, well, it was a little plant, and then it grew into that. So I took a picture of it, put that in there. This butterfly landed on our house when we were first building our house. And so I put blessed home because I love butterflies and I believe they're a sign of luck and peace and blessings. So I put that in there. And butterfly wishes, that's a red lead. Just did some little embellishments up here. This was something I had from an old paper pad. Same thing here with a bunch of embellishments. This was my neighbor's yard, so I took some pictures of the sunflowers. Another red lead there. And there, that's a red lead. To have faith is to have wings. A bird, some sunflowers. This is a flower that I grew out of seeds. They were wildflowers. Did a little collage here. Another red lead stamp, silently a flower blooms. Now this page, believe me when I tell you, in any way, shape, or form, I am not a bug person. That's where I draw the line. But these were taken from a distance. Nothing was killed. I didn't go near it. I just zoomed in on it if I saw it like laying on the ground. And so these were like some funky bugs that were hanging out. And I put them in slides, like this was cut out from my silhouette. This is an actual die. This is a die that I have. And when I printed off my pictures, I could manipulate them. So if they're, if I want it small or big, and that's how I kind of did this spread. And the writings and the numbers, evidence, specimen, shipment 785, that's the Tim Holtz rub-ons. And so I kind of made that look, and that's a Tim Holtz right there. I kind of made it look like, they were specimens. And just, like I said, I take random pictures of things, and I have all this stuff, and one day I like to make something of it, and finally I got to with my nature book. Flower I grew from seeds. These are more digital images I used here, here, and here. This is a mimosa tree by my neighbor, so I took a picture of that because that reminds me of my cousins, because we used to play and run under this mimosa tree at my cousin's house, so whenever I see them I think of them. So I took a picture and put that in a book here. This I believe is my Porch Prints back here. This over here is part of the paper that came with the book, and also here, so I cut it out and kind of collaged it and gave it a background. I did some journaling here about Mother Nature. Here is a fox that decided to come through our backyard, and it was huge. I never realized how big foxes were. You think, oh, they're like this big. No, they could get like the size of a small dog. Like, I had no idea. Flower I grew, I believe that's from Allegradigital. And another flower I grew. These were rhododendrons that my mother grew when we lived, like when I grew up at our old house, and that was in the 80s. So I found this in a magazine, rhododendron, and put that there and just kind of made that like all about flowers. That's Allegradigital. And this was a little baby fawn. It was probably maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours old, and it got lost from the mama, and it found its way to our house. And between the house here and these blocks, this is like our driveway over here, and then this is the house, it found this little nook and it hid in there because it was scared, it didn't know what to do, and we left it alone. Of course, I had to go over there and take like 700 pictures, but it just stayed, and we didn't bother it, we didn't touch it. And then a couple hours later, we saw the mama in the yard, and the baby came out, and the mama and the baby went off. So we were all very happy, and he was just so sweet. He or she, we don't know, but it was such a sweet little animal just to see sitting there, just looking at you. Wasn't frightened or anything, but I'm sure at some point it was, but it just stayed put, and we didn't bother it. But it was a really nice little experience to have. Now, the house plant section here, this is the whole reason why I did this book, on top of course having all the stuff that I want to put in it. This is my grandmom. This is my mom's mom. The cookbook, if you look at my other videos, the cookbook I did, that's my dad's mom with my mom. So this is her mother. And my grandmother and my mother had a green thumb. I don't care. They took a stick and they put it in the ground, and an apple tree would grow. Like, just, it was phenomenal. But my grandmother, she loved her plants. So I found this green thumb in a magazine. This is part of one of the kits. I think that's the Allegradigital plant lady. I put that there because my grandmother was a plant lady, and this was an old Jolie's embellishment I had for probably 15 years. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's so old. And I stuck that there, and I was like, oh my gosh, that works perfectly. So here are some of her pictures. This was in her house. That was Christmas time because she's got a poinsettia, and then she has gold curtains, which I think is hilarious. I love that. Some of the paper from the original book. Same thing here. My grandmom there. You can see her plants in the back there. She had plants over on the other side of her house, and these were pictures we had taken. They had to have been, I want to say maybe late 80s, early 90s, and so that inspired me to put that in this book and create the book, because I don't know if I would have ever done anything with these pictures. So I was very happy with that. And this is just some embellishments I used from the digital images. Cut some of this out of the paper that came from the book, adhered it to the original paper from the book, and you know, just I'm gonna put more stuff in it as I come across things, but at least I have something in an area to put it in. Now, another reason why I did this book was because of this one picture. We had a garden, which is the garden right here. This is my mom. You can see her there. And then that's my Uncle Billy over on the left. And I love gardening, and I remember this garden when we were kids. And that's the only picture we have. So when I found the picture, I'm like, we have one picture of our garden. So that's going into the book. So that's what this whole section is about, is with vegetables and gardening, family memories. Now my mom, I think it's hilarious. She's in the dirt with white sandals on. I think that's so funny. And she's got this funky vintage shirt on with rainbows. Oh my God, I would love to have that shirt today. And she's got her little kerchief on. And then my Uncle Billy, he looks like he's completely lost because he's standing in the weeds that basically go up to his chest. And my mom was tilling the garden, and I remember this. I remember when this picture was taken. We had tomatoes, we had carrots, we had turnips, we had watermelon, we had cucumbers. I don't quite know what was going on over here, but apparently my Uncle Billy was going to tackle that. And we just lost my Uncle Billy last year. He was 90 years old, and we just lost him. Yeah, he was a good guy. And just some embellishments of the digital images that I've talked about that I used with the collections. And this is a paper from the book. Now, here's my garden. This was a while back. I did peppers and I did tomatoes. Cut this out of a magazine, Gardener on a Mission. This is part of the digital collection. I think that was from Allegradigital. And then Homegrown, that's part of that collection. And this year I did zucchini and cucumbers and squash. And vegetables shown on these pages can be grown from seeds. Water your vegetables. That was just from a magazine I cut out. I use like a lot of Posca pens. So I just went around with a pen to help like bring that green out, and just, you know, whatever I felt like using and doing. Little lattice here. And then that's my little garden. I have it, it's a raised garden. And I cut these out of a magazine. Some Jolie's, a hose, and some little clippers here. My own garden. That's part of the digital stuff I've been using. The small garden, the very tiny patch, that was cut out of a magazine. Highlighted that with green around it. And this was part of the paper. Tore it in half. Cut out some stuff from magazines. That was a magazine clipping. I'd rather be gardening. And that's that. Now this is what the book looked like. The new garden book. And with the plant book, that was my mom's book. So I took a picture of it, stuck it in the back. Some of the digital images I used. And that's about how thick it is. And I'm sure I'm going to come across all kinds of little stuff here and there. But I just wanted to share that with you. And it's just something that I don't think I could do all of these scrapbook pages with, because they were random things here and there, but it all came together and I have it all in one book. So I'm very happy with it and I wanted to share it with you. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, use what you have and just start putting it together, even if you put it like in a box or an envelope or something. And then when you're ready to work on it, you know, I have everything that I want in one spot, and then you just start kind of putting it together. And I had a really great time. I love it. It's very botanical. It's very rustic, very organic. You know me. Plus it's vintage and doesn't get any better than that. I hope you enjoyed the video, everyone. Any questions, don't hesitate to contact me. And as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you're new and you would like to, I would very much appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.